My beloved child, before you continue listening, I need you to stop for a moment. Not tomorrow, not later tonight, right now, because what I am about to reveal is not a message for everyone. It is for a very specific soul, a soul that has been carrying grief without realizing it, a soul that has been mourning something in silence, a soul that feels an emptiness they cannot explain. And if your heart suddenly became still when you heard these words, if something deep inside you feels strangely exposed, if you feel as though this message somehow found you at exactly the right moment, then listen carefully, because heaven has interrupted your day for a reason. Pause, my child. There is someone listening right now who believes they are grieving lost opportunities, lost years, lost relationships, lost versions of themselves. You keep looking backward. You keep wondering who you could have become. You keep replaying old choices, old mistakes, old roads not taken. And every time you do, a quiet sadness settles over your spirit. You tell yourself, if only I had made a different decision. If only I had started sooner. If only I had been stronger. If only I had not failed. But my child, what if the thing you are grieving never actually existed? Pause. What if the person you keep missing, the person you imagine you should have become, was never the destiny I wrote for you? There is a person hearing this tonight whose heart has become trapped between reality and imagination, between who they are and who they think they should have been, and darkness has been feeding that sorrow, day after day, night after night, because the enemy knows something many people never realize. A soul that constantly mourns an imaginary life eventually loses gratitude for the life it actually has. Listen carefully. The warning is real. The warning is real, because something has been quietly stealing your peace, not through tragedy, not through disaster, but through comparison, through regret, through an illusion so convincing that you no longer recognize it as a lie. Pause, my son, my daughter. There is a reason this message found you tonight. There is a reason heaven would not allow you to keep scrolling, because what you are mourning may not be a lost destiny at all. It may be something far more dangerous, and what I am about to reveal next could completely change the way you see your entire life. My beloved child, listen carefully, because what I am about to reveal is closer than you think. Closer than the people around you, closer than your circumstances, closer than the problems you keep trying to solve. The danger is not somewhere in the future. The danger is already whispering to you now. Pause. There is someone listening right now who believes their greatest enemy is failure. Another believes it is rejection. Another believes it is financial pressure. Another believes it is the people who hurt them. But my child, those things are only the surface. The real battle has been happening in a place few people ever learn to recognize. Inside your thoughts, inside your beliefs, inside the secret conversations you have with yourself when nobody else is around. There is a person hearing this tonight who has become their own harshest judge. You replay old mistakes. You replay embarrassing moments. You replay every wrong turn, and without realizing it, you have begun agreeing with accusations that never came from me. Listen carefully. Not every voice in your mind speaks truth. Not every thought deserves your trust. Not every feeling deserves authority over your future. Pause. Darkness rarely arrives looking like darkness. That is why so many souls fail to recognize it. The enemy does not always attack through fear. Sometimes he attacks through regret. Sometimes through comparison. Sometimes through the illusion that everyone else is moving forward while you remain stuck. And little by little, he convinces a soul to believe that their story has already been ruined. There is someone watching this right now who secretly fears they have missed their chance. You fear you waited too long. You fear you failed too many times. You fear the best years are behind you. But my child, that fear did not come from me, because I am the author of restoration. I am not the author of hopelessness. Pause. Yet the danger remains. The warning is real, because every day you continue believing those lies, they grow stronger. Every day you keep feeding regret. It steals a little more of your joy. Every day you worship a version of yourself that never existed. You become blind to the person I am still creating. And this is exactly what darkness wants. Not necessarily to destroy you, but to distract you. Not necessarily to attack you, but to keep you obsessed with an imaginary past. Listen carefully. The enemy knows that a distracted soul is easier to control than a broken one. A distracted soul stops listening, stops trusting, stops hoping, stops moving. Pause, my son, my daughter. What I am about to reveal next is something many people spend their entire lives without understanding, because the reason this message found you tonight is not random. It is not coincidence. It is not luck. There is a deeper reason heaven brought you here, and once you see it, you may never look at your struggles the same way again. But there is something even more dangerous. My beloved child, what if I told you that this moment was not an accident? What if I told you that long before you pressed play, long before you heard these words, long before this day even began, I already knew you would be here? Pause, listen carefully, because what I am about to reveal may be one of the most important truths you have heard in a very long time. There is a person listening right now who thinks they found this message, but my child, you did not find this message. This message found you, not because an algorithm recommended it, not because of chance, not because of coincidence, but because heaven has been trying to reach your heart. There is a soul hearing these words tonight who has been asking questions in secret. Questions you never spoke out loud. Questions nobody around you knows about. You have wondered, why do I still feel stuck? Why can't I move on? Why do I keep grieving things I never actually had? Why does my heart feel attached to a life that only exists in my imagination? And while you search for answers, I was already preparing this moment. Pause, my son, my daughter. The reason this message found you is because you have reached a crossroads. Not a crossroads of location, not a crossroads of career, not even a crossroads of relationships, a crossroads of identity. For too long you have been looking at yourself through the lens of regret, through the lens of comparison, through the lens of disappointment. You have measured your worth against people whose journey was never yours. You have compared your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20, and every comparison created another wound. Every regret created another chain. Every imaginary version of yourself became another idol standing between you and the peace I wanted to give you. The warning is real, because when a soul forgets who I created them to be, they become vulnerable to every lie that follows. Pause, there is someone listening right now who has spent years trying to become a person and never asked them to become. You chased approval, you chased perfection, you chased expectations, you chased an image, and every step farther from your true identity made your spirit heavier. Not because you were weak, but because your soul was carrying a burden it was never designed to carry. Listen carefully. The time is now. The time is now, because I am calling you back to something deeper than success, something deeper than achievement, something deeper than human validation. I am calling you back to yourself, to the person I see, to the person I form, to the person I never stopped loving. Pause, and here is the revelation. The life you keep mourning was never your greatest loss. The greatest loss would be spending the rest of your life chasing an illusion while abandoning the destiny that is still waiting for you. My child, darkness knows this, and that is why it has been working so hard to keep your eyes fixed on what never happened. Because if you ever fully discover who you truly are, everything begins to change, and that leads directly to the enemy's hidden strategy, a strategy that has been operating in your life far longer than you realize. My beloved child, now you are ready to see what many people never recognize, because the battle has never been only about your past. It has never been only about your mistakes. It has never been only about your disappointments. Those things were merely doors. The real strategy was hidden behind them. Pause, listen carefully. Because darkness rarely wins by force. It wins through deception. The enemy's greatest weapon has never been power. It has always been distraction. There is a soul listening right now who believes they are struggling with regret. But regret is only the surface. Beneath that regret is a lie. And beneath that lie is a trap. The enemy knows he cannot change the plans I have written for you. He cannot erase your purpose. He cannot rewrite your destiny. So instead, he tries to convince you to walk away from it yourself. Little by little, day after day, thought after thought. Pause, there is a person hearing this tonight who has become trapped in a cycle they barely notice anymore. You compare, you regret, you criticize yourself, you imagine alternate versions of your life, you feel discouraged. Then you compare again, the cycle repeats, and every repetition steals a little more hope, a little more confidence, a little more peace. Listen carefully, the warning is real, because the enemy does not need to destroy your future if he can keep you endlessly questioning your worth. He does not need to stop your destiny if he can keep you distracted by imaginary failures. He does not need to break your faith if he can slowly exhaust it. Pause, there is someone watching right now who feels emotionally tired all the time. Not because life is impossible, not because you lack strength, but because your mind has been fighting battles that was never meant to carry. You are wrestling with shadows, arguing with memories, trying to fix a version of history that no longer exists. And every moment spent there is a moment stolen from the life unfolding in front of you. Darkness loves this strategy, because a distracted soul becomes easier to control. A distracted soul delays obedience, delays healing, delays growth, delays purpose, and every delay creates another opportunity for fear to speak louder than faith. Pause, my son, my daughter. The enemy has whispered the same lie in 1,000 different ways. You are behind. You missed your chance. You should be someone else by now. You are not enough, but listen to me carefully. Those words never came from heaven. I do not speak through condemnation. I do not lead through shame. I do not guide through hopelessness. The voice of darkness points backward. My voice calls forward. The voice of darkness magnifies failure. My voice reveals purpose. The voice of darkness creates confusion. My voice creates life. Pause, and here is the mistake the enemy made. He thought your pain would permanently separate you from me. He thought your disappointment would silence your faith. He thought your regret would keep you trapped forever. But he underestimated what happens when truth enters a wounded heart. Because once you begin recognizing the lies, their power starts to break, and soon, you are going to recognize signs that have been appearing in your life for much longer than you realize. Signs you have been ignoring. My beloved child, listen carefully, because what I am about to reveal may explain things you have been unable to understand for a very long time. There is a reason your spirit has felt different lately. There is a reason your heart has felt heavier. There is a reason certain emotions seem to appear without warning. And no, you are not imagining it. Pause, there is someone listening right now who has been telling themselves they are simply tired. Just tired, just stressed, just overwhelmed. But my child, what if these feelings are trying to tell you something? What if they are signs, not signs of defeat? Not signs that I have abandoned you, but signs that your soul has been carrying burdens it was never meant to carry. There is a person hearing this tonight who feels exhausted even after resting. You sleep, yet you wake up tired. You take a break, yet your mind never becomes quiet. You try to relax, yet something inside you remains restless. Listen carefully. The warning is real, because exhaustion is not always physical. Sometimes the soul becomes tired before the body does. Pause, there is someone watching this right now who has slowly lost joy in things that once brought life to their spirit. You still smile, you still function, you still show up for responsibilities, but inside, something feels distant, like a song you once loved but can barely hear anymore. Like a house with lights still on, yet no warmth inside. And what frightens you most is how normal this has started to feel. My child, darkness loves when heaviness becomes normal, because the moment you stop questioning it, you stop fighting it. Pause, there is a soul hearing these words tonight who has become unusually sensitive to comparison. You see someone else's success, someone else's family, someone else's opportunity, and suddenly your own life feels smaller, less valuable, less meaningful. You do not even realize it is happening, but each comparison plants another seed of dissatisfaction, another seed of regret, another seed of hopelessness. The enemy knows that comparison is one of the fastest ways to make a person forget their purpose. Listen carefully. Do not ignore this sign. Do not ignore this sign, because a soul that constantly compares itself eventually loses sight of its own calling. Pause, there is someone listening right now who feels strangely disconnected from themselves. You no longer know what you truly want. You no longer recognize the dreams that once excited you. You spend more time thinking about who you should have been than who you are becoming. And little by little, your identity becomes clouded, not destroyed, just obscured, like sunlight hidden behind thick fog. My son, my daughter, that fog did not appear overnight. It formed one thought at a time, one regret at a time, one lie at a time. Pause, and there is another sign, perhaps the most dangerous one of all. You have started delaying things you know you should do. Conversations, decisions, acts of obedience, steps of faith, because somewhere deep inside, fear has convinced you that waiting is safer than moving. But listen carefully. The time is now. The time is now, because delay is often where destiny begins to suffocate. And what I am about to reveal next could change everything, because the enemy's greatest victory is not making a decision for you. It is convincing you not to make one at all. And now you stand before a choice that will determine what happens next. My beloved child, you have listened this far for a reason, not because you were curious, not because you happened to have free time, but because your soul has arrived at a moment of decision. And whether you realize it or not, a choice is already standing before you. Pause, listen carefully. Because many people believe the greatest battles in life are fought against circumstances, against difficult people, against financial pressure, against sickness, against disappointment. But my child, the most important battles are often fought within, in the quiet place where faith and fear compete for your agreement, in the hidden place where truth confronts deception, in the sacred place where destiny waits for a decision. There is a person hearing this tonight who has been waiting for life to change before they move forward, waiting to feel stronger, waiting to feel confident, waiting to feel certain, waiting for fear to disappear. But listen carefully. If you wait until fear is gone, you may wait forever, because courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move despite it. Pause, my son, my daughter. This is the truth darkness hopes you never discover. The enemy cannot force you to believe a lie. He can only present it. He cannot force you to abandon hope. He can only tempt you toward hopelessness. He cannot force you to surrender your future. He can only convince you to surrender it yourself. That is why your agreement matters. That is why your choice matters. That is why this moment matters. The warning is real, because every lie gains strength when it is believed. Every fear gains authority when it is obeyed. Every delay grows larger when it is repeated. And little by little, a temporary hesitation becomes a permanent prison. Pause, there is someone listening right now who has unknowingly agreed with destructive thoughts for years. I am too late. I missed my opportunity. I am not capable. I am too damaged. I will never change. My child, those are not facts. They are agreements. And what has been agreed to can be rejected. What has been accepted can be renounced. What has been believed can be replaced by truth. Listen carefully. The time is now. The time is now. Not next month. Not next year. Not after everything becomes easier. Now. Because every day spent waiting is another day surrendered to fear. And fear has never led anyone into the life I prepared for them. Pause, there is a soul hearing this tonight who feels caught between two voices. One voice says, stay where you are, protect yourself. Do not risk disappointment. Do not hope too much. But another voice, a quieter voice, has been calling you forward, toward healing, toward forgiveness, toward faith, toward freedom, toward the life you were created to live. And that voice is mine. I, beloved child, you stand between two paths, faith or fear, truth or deception, life or paralysis, hope or regret. One path slowly drains the soul, the other restores it. One path keeps you chained to who you imagined you should have been. The other leads you into who you were created to become. Choose carefully, choose life, because your future is waiting on the other side of that decision. And in the next moment, I will show you exactly how to break the agreement that has been holding you back. My beloved child, before you move forward, before you make another promise to yourself, before you tell yourself that tomorrow will somehow be different, I want you to do something with me. Not later, not after this message ends, right now, because truth is powerful. But truth only transforms the heart when it is received. Pause, there is someone listening right now who feels an unusual heaviness in their chest. Someone who recognizes themselves in these words. Someone who is finally beginning to understand why their soul has been so tired. My child, this is not the moment to run from what you have discovered. This is the moment to confront it. The time is now. The time is now, because every chain that remains hidden becomes stronger, but every chain exposed to truth begins to weaken. Pause first. Recognition. Be honest with yourself. There is no freedom without honesty. There is no healing without truth. My son, my daughter, say within your heart, Lord, I recognize that I have been grieving versions of myself that never existed. I have compared my life to imaginary outcomes. I have allowed regret to occupy places where trust should have lived. I see it now, and that recognition is the beginning of freedom. Pause second. Repentance. Not because I'm condemning you, not because I am angry with you, but because repentance means turning around. It means leaving behind what has been hurting you. Say, Father, forgive me for agreeing with lies that did not come from you. Forgive me for measuring my worth by comparison. Forgive me for doubting your plans when I could not understand them, my beloved child. The moment humility enters the heart, grace rushes in. Pause third. Renunciation. This is where chains begin to break, because what has been agreed with must be rejected. Say, I reject the lie that I'm behind. I reject the lie that I missed my destiny. I reject the lie that my best days are over. I reject the lie that regret defines my future. Listen carefully. The warning is real, because darkness loses influence when its lies are exposed. Pause. Fourth, declaration. There is power in agreement with truth. Write in the comments, I choose life. Write it boldly. Write it as an act of faith, and say, I'm not abandoned. I'm not forgotten. I'm not disqualified. My future is still in God's hands. My identity is not determined by regret. My destiny is not controlled by fear. The time is now. The time is now. Pause. Finally, replacement, because removing a lie is not enough. Truth must take its place. My child, replace fear with faith. Replace comparison with gratitude. Replace regret with trust. Replace self-condemnation with my voice. There is someone hearing this tonight whose breakthrough begins in this very moment, not because every circumstance has changed, but because the agreement has changed, because the heart has changed, because the direction has changed. And when direction changes, destiny begins to change. Pause. My son, my daughter, something is already breaking, something is already shifting, something is already beginning. And what I am about to show you next will reveal how I have been protecting you even during the seasons when you thought you were alone. My beloved child, I'll listen carefully, because what I am about to reveal is something your fear has tried very hard to hide from you. For so long, you have focused on what went wrong, the opportunities you lost, the mistakes you made, the doors that closed, the prayers that seemed unanswered, the pain that never made sense. But my child, what if I told you there were countless things you never saw? What if I told you that while you were mourning what did not happen, I was protecting you from things that should never happen? Pause. There is someone listening right now who believes they have been abandoned. Someone who secretly wonders, if God loves me, why did everything become so difficult? If God is with me, why have I suffered so much? If God is protecting me, why have I felt so alone? My son, my daughter, you are asking the wrong question, because protection does not always look like comfort. Sometimes protection looks like a closed door. Sometimes protection looks like a delay. Sometimes protection looks like a painful ending. Sometimes protection looks like losing something you desperately wanted, and years later, you finally understand why. Pause. There is a person hearing this tonight who still grieves a relationship that ended, a dream that failed, a path that disappeared, an opportunity that slipped away. But my child, there are dangers I saw that you could not see. There were battles I fought on your behalf that you never knew existed. There were traps hidden in places you called blessings. There were roads that looked beautiful from a distance but ended in destruction. Listen carefully. The warning is real. Not every closed door was rejection. Some doors were rescue. Not every delay was punishment. Some delays were protection. Not every loss was defeat. Some losses were deliverance. Pause. There is someone watching this right now who has spent years questioning my silence. That even during your darkest nights, I never left. When you cried alone, I was there. When anxiety stole your sleep, I was there. When disappointment filled your heart, I was there. When you believed nobody understood your pain, I was there. And even when you stopped noticing me, I never stopped watching over you, my beloved child. You have survived things that should have broken you. You have endured seasons that should have destroyed your faith. You have walked through valleys that should have consumed your hope. Yet you are still here, still breathing, still listening, still searching, still standing. That is not an accident. Pause. There is a reason darkness has worked so hard to keep you focused on regret. Because regret blinds you to evidence of my faithfulness. Regret keeps your eyes on what was lost. Faith opens your eyes to what was preserved. And there is far more that has been preserved than you realize. The time is now. The time is now. Open your eyes. Look again. Your story is not a story of abandonment. It is a story of protection. It is a story of preservation. It is a story of grace operating behind the scenes. Pause. My son, my daughter, heaven's protection has surrounded you more times than you will ever know. Angels have been a sign. Mercy has intervened. Grace has covered failures. Love has remained when everything else seemed uncertain. And this protection is not ending now. In fact, it is preparing you for the next step, because protection without transformation is incomplete. And there is something I am calling you into. Something holy, something deeper, something that will require a response from your heart. The call is coming, and it cannot be ignored. My beloved child, listen carefully, because many people want my protection. Many people want my blessings. Many people want peace. Many people want breakthrough, but few people understand what I am about to reveal. Pause. Protection is not only something I place around you, it is also something I build within you. And that is why I am calling you deeper, not into fear, not into religion, not into endless rules, but into holiness, into surrender, into a life that remains close to my heart. There is someone listening right now who thinks holiness is restriction. But my child, holiness is protection. Holiness is freedom. Holiness is alignment with the life I created you to live. Pause. There is a person hearing this tonight who has spent years trying to fill an emptiness with things that could never satisfy. More approval, more success, more validation, more distraction, more noise. Let the emptiness remain. Because what your soul truly needed was not another achievement. It was closeness, closeness with me. The warning is real, because every step away from truth eventually creates confusion. Every compromise creates distance. Every ignored conviction weakens clarity, and little by little, a soul begins losing sight of its purpose. Not all at once, but gradually, quietly, almost unnoticed. Pause, my son, my daughter. I'm not calling you to holiness because I want something from you. I'm calling you because I want something for you. I want freedom for you. I want peace for you. I want clarity for you. I want healing for you. I want you to stop carrying burdens I never asked you to carry. There is someone watching right now who has become exhausted trying to be everything for everyone, trying to earn acceptance, trying to prove worth, trying to become a version of themselves that the world will applaud. But my child, you do not need the world's approval to be valuable. You were valuable before anyone praised you. You were loved before anyone noticed you. You were chosen before anyone believed in you. The time is now. The time is now. Release what is pulling you away from my voice. Release what keeps feeding comparison. Release what keeps feeding regret. Release what keeps feeding fear. There are habits that need to end. There are thoughts that need to be surrendered. There are distractions that need to lose their authority. Not because I'm punishing you, but because I'm preparing you for greater peace, preparing you for greater wisdom, preparing you for the future that still lies ahead. Pause. There is a soul listening tonight who feels unworthy of a new beginning. Someone who believes they have failed too many times. Someone who thinks they have wandered too far. But listen carefully. You are not beyond restoration. You are not beyond grace. You are not beyond redemption. The enemy wants you to believe your story is already finished. I'm telling you it is still being written. And every step toward me becomes a step toward the person you were created to become. Pause, my beloved child. Holiness is not perfection. Holiness is direction. It is choosing my voice over the voices of fear. It is choosing truth over deception. It is choosing surrender over control. It is choosing life again and again, and if you make that choice, you will discover something beautiful. The deliverance you have been praying for may already be beginning, even now, even here, even before you can fully see it. My beloved child, take a deep breath and listen carefully, because the truth I am about to reveal is something darkness never wanted you to hear. You have spent so much time looking for a dramatic sign, a sudden miracle, an instant breakthrough, a moment where everything changes overnight. But my child, deliverance often begins long before it becomes visible. Pause. There is someone listening right now who believes nothing is changing. You still see the same circumstances, the same struggles, the same unanswered questions, the same challenges standing in front of you. And because you cannot yet see the outcome, you assume nothing is happening. But listen carefully. That assumption is not the truth. Because some of my greatest works begin beneath the surface, just as roots grow before fruit appears. Healing often begins before peace is felt. Freedom often begins before chains visibly break. Restoration often begins before circumstances improve. The warning is real. Do not mistake silence for absence. Do not mistake waiting for abandonment. Do not mistake the process for failure. Pause. There is a person hearing this tonight who has already begun changing, not because your problems disappear, but because your perspective is changing. You are beginning to recognize the lies. You are beginning to challenge the fear. You are beginning to release the regret. You are beginning to hear my voice more clearly. And that is where deliverance starts. It starts when truth enters places where deception once lived. It starts when hope enters places where despair once ruled. It starts when faith enters places where fear once controlled every decision. My son, my daughter, the battle is shifting. You may not fully see it yet, but it is shifting. Pause. There is someone listening right now whose family has been carrying wounds for generations. Patterns of fear, patterns of shame, patterns of brokenness, patterns of emotional pain passed from one generation to the next. You have wondered if those cycles will ever end. You have wondered if your family can ever experience healing. Listen carefully. The time is now, because every cycle loses power when someone chooses truth over fear. Someone chooses forgiveness over bitterness. Someone chooses faith over despair. Perhaps that person is you. Pause. There is a soul hearing this tonight who has been worrying about provision, finances, opportunities, resources, the future, and while those concerns feel very real, remember this: I'm not limited by what you can currently see. I'm not limited by closed doors. I'm not limited by human timelines. I'm not limited by the opinions of others. The same God who guided you through yesterday is already standing in your tomorrow, and I have not forgotten your needs. My beloved child, I know every prayer, every tear, every disappointment, every silent cry that nobody else heard. Nothing has been wasted. Nothing has been ignored. Nothing has escaped my attention. Pause. There is healing beginning. There is restoration beginning. There is clarity beginning. There is freedom beginning. There is strength returning. There is hope returning. There is life returning. Not because you became perfect, not because you earned it, but because grace is working. Even now, the enemy wanted regret to become your identity. Instead, it became the place where truth found you. The enemy wanted your disappointment to separate you from me. Instead, it became the road that led you back to my voice. And that changes everything. Pause. My son, my daughter, what is beginning today is bigger than a feeling, bigger than a moment, bigger than an emotion. It is the beginning of a new direction. And if you continue walking in that direction, you will soon discover that the freedom you thought was far away has been moving toward you all along. But before this message ends, there is one final warning you must hear. My beloved child, before this message comes to an end, there is one final warning I must give you, and I need you to listen more carefully than ever before. Because what happens next depends on what you do after tonight. Pause. There is someone listening right now who almost stopped listening earlier. Someone who nearly scrolled away. Someone who nearly convinced themselves that these words were meant for somebody else. But my child, you are still here, and that matters more than you realize. Because heaven does not bring a soul this far without a reason. Pause. Listen carefully. The greatest tragedy is not failure. The greatest tragedy is not rejection. The greatest tragedy is not even loss. The greatest tragedy is spending your entire life mourning a person and never created you to be. Think about that. How many years have been lost trying to become someone else? How many tears have been shed over a life that only existed in imagination? How much peace has been sacrificed on the altar of comparison? How much joy has been surrendered to regret? My son, my daughter, the warning is real, because if you continue worshiping an imaginary version of yourself, you will never fully embrace the person standing before me right now. Pause. There is someone hearing this tonight who has spent years chasing an illusion of perfection, an illusion of success, an illusion of what life was supposed to look like. And while you chased that illusion, you overlooked the miracles already growing in your life. You overlooked your survival. You overlooked your growth. You overlooked your resilience. You overlooked my hand carrying you through seasons that should have destroyed you. Darkness wanted that, because darkness knows something powerful. A soul obsessed with what never happened becomes blind to what God is doing now. Pause. My beloved child, after tonight, you can no longer say you did not know. You can no longer pretend the lies are truth. You can no longer allow regret to sit on the throne of your heart. The time is now. The time is now. Because every day you delay this decision, the same cycle will continue. The same exhaustion, the same comparison, the same disappointment, the same grief, the same chains. And one day you will wake up and realize years have passed while you were mourning a life that was never yours. Do not let that happen. Do not let that happen. Pause. There is a person listening right now who feels something stirring deep inside. That feeling is not an accident. That discomfort is not an accident. That conviction is not an accident. Because your soul recognizes truth when it hears it. Even when your mind resists, even when fear argues against it, even when old habits try to pull you backward, listen carefully. The choice is standing before you now, not tomorrow, not next month, now. Will you continue grieving who you imagined you should have been? Or will you finally embrace who I created you to become? Pause. My son, my daughter, heaven is washing what you do next. Not with condemnation, not with anger, but with hope. Because the destiny waiting for you is still alive. The purpose waiting for you is still alive. The future waiting for you is still alive. And if you take my hand, the chapter ahead will be far greater than the chapter behind. But first, you must let the illusion die. Only then can the real story begin. My beloved child, if you have listened all the way to this moment, then I want you to know something. This message was never about the person you could have been. It was never about the road you did not take. It was never about the life that existed only inside your imagination. It was always about you, the real you, the person standing here right now, the person I have loved from the beginning, the person I have never abandoned, the person I am still writing a story for. Pause. There is someone listening right now whose eyes are filled with tears. Someone who feels seen for the first time in a very long time. Someone who has spent years carrying silent grief, years carrying invisible disappointment, years carrying questions that nobody else could answer. My child, I saw every tear, I heard every prayer, I witnessed every lonely night, and not one moment was wasted. Not one wound escaped my attention, not one cry went unheard. Pause. Listen carefully. The warning has been given, the truth has been revealed. Now a choice remains. Will you continue looking backward, or will you walk forward with me? Will you keep mourning an illusion, or will you embrace the life that is still unfolding before you? The time is now. The time is now, because your future is not waiting somewhere far away. Your future begins with the decision you make today. Pause. My son, my daughter, release the version of yourself that never existed. Bless it. Let it go. Stop chasing it. Stop grieving it. Stop comparing yourself to it. That person was never your assignment. That person was never your calling. That person was never your destiny. The life I prepared for you has always been here, waiting, patiently, quietly, faithfully. Pause. And now I speak this blessing over you. May peace replace regret. May clarity replace confusion. May faith replace fear. May hope replace disappointment. May truth silence every lie that has haunted your mind. May your heart remember who you are. May your spirit grow stronger. May your path become clear. And may you discover that my plans for you are far greater than the plans you imagined for yourself. Pause before you leave. I want you to do something. Write in the comments, I release the person I never was. Write it as a declaration. Write it as a step of faith. Write it as a reminder that your story is not over. And if this message spoke directly to your heart, subscribe to this channel. Share this message with someone who is struggling with regret, because there is another soul out there who needs to hear these words tonight. Pause. My beloved child, you are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not disqualified. You are not abandoned. You are still loved. You are still chosen. You are still called. And your story is still being written. I have spoken. Now the choice is yours.